The sounds of police siren wailing through the streets of Tokyo echoed in the air. Posters of the wanted criminal were everywhere, as if every eye in the city was on him. He felt, jumped into a car and targeted a girl. A gun was pointed at his temple and he threatened to shoot. But suddenly, as if fate betrayed him, he felt a sharp pain in his chest and collapsed slowly to the ground. A heart attack stopped his breathing within moments. The next day, as the foreign minister left his office, a swarm of journalists descended upon him. Questions rained down. But before he could answer, his health suddenly deteriorated and he collapsed. He suffered a heart attack. Meanwhile, shocking news arrived. The criminal accused of murder was released due to lack of evidence. However, before he could celebrate his acquittal, he too died of a heart attack. Over the next few days, several cases were reported of criminals dying of heart attacks, some even within the confines of jail. Gradually, the police and media began to realize that this was no coincidence. Someone had been behind all of this. People dubbed this unknown killer Kira. Some people welcomed this development as crime was decreasing in the country. But others were deeply upset. They believed that no one had the right to take another person's life, no matter how heinous the crime. Religious people even began to suggest that this was God's play, punishing sinners. One night the town was gripped by panic when news broke of a man who had broken into a bank and taken hostages. A boy named Light was watching this news on TV. He felt a strange sensation and pulled out his book. He wrote the criminal's name in it. Everyone was astonished, but before anything could make sense of it, news came on TV that the criminal had died of a heart attack. The next day at college, Light and his girlfriend Shiori discussed Kira. Shiori believed that what Kira was doing was wrong, arguing that no one should take the law into their own hands. But Light had a different perspective. He told Shiori that he had hacked a police website a few weeks ago and discovered that there were many cases where criminals were not caught, yet the cases were closed. He said maybe Kira doesn't believe in the law, so he is seeking justice himself. One night the Light went out in a bar. Light overheard some criminals talking amongst themselves. His blood boiled when he heard how much they enjoyed harassing innocent people. When the criminals noticed Light, one of them pulled out a knife and threatened him. Shiori felt terrible after hearing this, but Light didn't tell her the whole story. In fact, as he felt the bar, he angrily threw his law book in the trash. Then his eyes fell on a book laying on the ground. It was titled Death Note. Light picked up the book and took it with him. Light slowly turned the first page of the book. It read, "Whoever's name is written in this book will die." At first, Light thought it was a joke, but then he saw the face of a murderer on TV. Out of curiosity, he wrote his name in the book. When he picked up the newspaper the next morning, he was shocked. The murderer was dead. Light couldn't believe that this was actually happening. He thought it must all be a coincidence. While crossing the road, Light's eyes fell on the bar where he had seen those criminals. He became angry. He took out the death note and wrote the name of the culprit. The criminal fell dead in front of his eyes, a victim of a heart attack. Now Light was convinced that the book could truly kill anyone. He read the rest of the rules in the book. It started that whoever's name was written in the book would die, and if the cause of the death wasn't specified, then by default they would die of a heart attack. While returning home, a strange creature crossed Light's path. It was a terrifying looking creature named Ryuk. Ryuk explained to Light that he collected the souls of those people who died and was only visible to those who possessed a death note. Ryuk also revealed that he was the one who had thrown the book into the human world to see what humans would do with it. Light told Ryuk that with the help of this book, he would eliminate all the criminals in the world. 4 months passed, but the police failed to find Kira. Then Detective Shoichiro, Light's father, entered the story. Determined to find Kira, he contacted a genius named L, who communicated only through a laptop. L delved into crimes around the world and discovered that Kira was hiding in Japan. L had a secret plan to find Kira. Light was watching TV when a major news story broke. A detective had claimed to have found crucial evidence about Kira. Light carefully examined the detective's face and then his eyes fell on the death note. He wrote the detective's name in the book and within moments he died. Then the L logo appeared on the TV. L explained that this was all part of his plan. The dead man was not a detective but a criminal, and the news was not being broadcast worldwide but only in Japan. It was clear that Kira was hiding somewhere in Japan. L threatened Light on TV that he would catch him and send him to jail. Light was filled with anger, but how could he get revenge on L? He didn't know L's real name or face. Meanwhile, L informed the police that he had made some important discoveries in his investigation. He revealed that the people being killed after college hours only, implying that Kira was a college student who didn't kill anyone during class. On the other hand, Light was hacking and listening to the police conversation. He then remembered a rule written in the death note that he could decide the time and reason of people's death himself. Light quickly made some changes to the death note. He altered the time of death during his college days and changed the cause of death. The next day, people began to die even during the day. L realized that someone was relaying his messages to Kira. L immediately began monitoring all the cops and their families. A few days later, as Light was walking somewhere with Ryuk, he felt like someone was following him. Ryuk also said that someone had been following him for the past 2 days. Light and Shiori were sitting on a bus when a stranger sat down behind them. Light thought it was the same man who had been following them. He gathered his courage and asked why he was following them, but the man denied it, saying he wasn't. Then suddenly a criminal boarded the bus and hijacked it. Light recognized him as the same criminal who had escaped from jail a few days ago. Light secretly wrote the criminal's name on a piece of paper. Then the man sitting behind revealed that Light had no need to be afraid because he was an FBI agent. The man showed his identity to Light. He was an FBI agent named Roy. Then the criminal snatched the paper from Light's hand, which contained a page from the death note itself. As soon as the criminal touched the paper, he saw Ryuk. Fearful, he pulled out his gun and fired, but nothing happened to Ryuk. Eventually, the criminal jumped out of the bus in panic, was hit by a vehicle and died. All of this happened exactly as Light had written in the paper. Now Light understood that the police were searching for the person who was leaking inside information. Light wanted to kill Roy, but didn't want to arouse suspicion. So he began collecting information about all the FBI officers involved in this case. Meanwhile, Roy met his wife Naomi and told her that he wouldn't be able to go anywhere that day. Naomi sensed something strange and began stalking Roy. When Roy boarded the train, Naomi watched as he took an envelope out of his suitcase, which contained some papers and a radio. Light contacted Roy through the radio, changing his voice to sound like Kira. When Roy asked for proof, Light killed a man sitting with Roy, a criminal. Light threatened Roy that if he didn't obey Light, he would kill everyone on the train. Out of fear, Roy agreed and extracted information about all the FBI agents associated with this case from his laptop. Light wrote the names of all those agents in the death note, and within a short time they all died. When Roy got off the train, he suddenly had a heart attack. Naomi ran to him, but it was too late. Roy died. On the other hand, Light smiled and picked up the page of the death note. Elsewhere at the police station, Shoichiro told everyone that Kira was killing their agents. Everyone became scared and most of the agents quit their jobs. Only a few agents remained to help Shoichiro. The situation became very serious. So they all decided to meet L. When they met L, they discovered that L was a very young boy. L told everyone that Kira was a very powerful man. He could kill anyone at will, but he needed to know that person's name. So L decided to address everyone by code names. L carefully examined the CCTV footage of the train station and realized that Roy was hinting at someone else before he died. L decided to keep an eye on all the police officers' families for a week. They later learned that Naomi had also worked for the FBI and had once worked with L. Naomi wanted to revenge her husband's death and was investigating the matter herself. After a while, Naomi obtained more information from the bus driver about what had happened on the bus that day. Then she went to meet Light at his college. Light claimed to Naomi, praised Light to confess that he was Kira. But Light refused. Naomi then told Light her real name, hoping that Light would try to kill her, thus proving that he was Kira. At that moment, Light took out his pen, and as he was about to write something, L was watching all this from the CCTV camera. Then suddenly the police arrived. Shiori ran towards Light in fear. Meanwhile, Naomi accidentally shot Shiori, and Shiori died on the spot. Devastated by this crime, Naomi also shot herself. Later, when Ryuk spoke to Light, he learned that Light wasn't at all sad about Shiori's death. He had planned all this in advance to clear his name completely. Actually, Light had gone to the church where Rai and Naomi were married. There he learned Naomi's real name. He then tricked Naomi into doing all these things. Ryuk was also shocked to see such a cruel person. After clearing his name, Light began pretending to revenge Shiori's death. Shoichiro then introduced him to L to help him. L was eating chips at the time, his eyes fixed on Light, as if he knew something was wrong. Meanwhile, a new character Misa entered the story. Misa was a famous model who was being stalked by a goon. Then suddenly the goon suffered a heart attack and died, and Misa also found a death note near him. And that's where the movie ends.